Hello everyone. It's been a while since I did one of these short-form video essays, but working on my recent Stargate retrospective series has given me food for thought about several things which are difficult to squeeze into a documentary/review video. All the Stargate shows have plenty of heroic characters, but after my most recent rewatch of everything, I've realized that Dr. Daniel Jackson is essentially the central hero of the entire Stargate mythos. To further explain it, let's talk about character writing for a second. There's a lot of debate about what makes a great character. I like to break a character down into 4 key elements: voice, demeanor, confidence, and judgment. Some writers like to emphasize backstory, but unless that backstory factors into the plot in some way, a detailed backstory is not necessary in my opinion. You can write all the backstory in the world, but unless you have interesting things for a character to say and do, and an interesting reason for them to say and do those things, it won't matter. In the short term, the most important aspect of character writing is personality. If we refer all the way back to Aristotle's Poetics, yes, I'm going that deep with this, then each character within a cast should have their own distinct voice. Stargate does this very well. Jack O'Neill, Samantha Carter, Teal'c, and Daniel Jackson all have their own way of speaking. Their word choice and cadence are unique to them. There are phrases O'Neill would say casually which would sound jarring coming out of Teal'c or Carter. Next on the list is demeanor, which I like to think of as a spectrum of quiet to loud. Once again, variety is the spice here. Jack O'Neill is mildly loud, always making jokes even when it's inappropriate. Teal'c, however, is moderately quiet, only speaking when he is asked for his opinion or when he believes he has something of value to offer. A character's demeanor is tied to but not directly proportional to their confidence. Once again, it's a spectrum from insecure to confident. Teal'c is extremely confident, but he is quiet. Because he's so confident, and because he's the size of an armored personnel carrier, he does not feel the need to be loud. Compare this to someone like Cameron Mitchell. Mitchell is loud,
Whoa, man! Bullets bounce!
but he is not confident.
What if the world needs saving?
I will be there to do what I can.
What if the world needs saving because I screwed up because you weren't here in the first place?
This relationship between demeanor and confidence spawns from our last, but in the long term most important element, the judgment. Some writers often like to emphasize some kind of flaw here, but in my opinion, putting a flaw at the heart of a character's soul is too limiting. A judgment, however, can be a positive or a negative thing depending on the context. A judgment is a belief we have about ourselves or the world. Ancient Stoic philosophers came up with it, and modern psychologists perfected it. Going back to Cameron Mitchell again, his core judgment is that he has to prove himself worthy of living while so many others have died. And from this core, Mitchell has also formed several sub-judgments, such as, no one should have to put themselves at risk but me, and so on. Now at this point you may be asking, wasn't this supposed to be a video about Daniel Jackson? Yes, it was. There are many components which make Daniel Jackson a great character, and one of them is his infinite curiosity. And if you want to keep that spark of curiosity alive in yourself, then you should check out this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is a uniquely effective way to learn more about subjects like science, engineering, programming, and maths. The platform helps you build up your knowledge and problem-solving skills in fun, bite-sized, interactive lessons. It's the exact opposite of mindless scrolling. Brilliant recently launched a ton of new content for their data courses, all of which use real-time data to train you to see trends and make better informed decisions. Learn how to parse and visualize massive datasets to make them easier to interpret. To try these and everything else Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Rowan or click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Perhaps if Samantha Carter had access to Brilliant, she could have taught O'Neill a thing or two.
Well, the hole isn't really a hole per se, but an interdimensional conduit. Colonel?
Okay.
Getting back to Stargate now, it is Daniel Jackson's core judgment that makes him such a great character. O'Neill and Carter both have identifiable judgments of their own, but they aren't unique to their characters. There are plenty of characters who want to protect Earth, and there are plenty of characters who love science. Teal'c's judgment is also clear, but between the Goa'uld depression and the Ori incursion, he is mostly reacting to exterior threats. Daniel Jackson's core judgment, however, is baked into his character from the very beginning.
I don't believe that any individual or society can achieve enlightenment through fear-mongering and forced servitude, no matter what power is presented as evidence. Don't get me wrong, I mean, we should all be trying to better ourselves. I mean, if ascension really is the ultimate end we're trying to achieve, then so be it, but we should all be allowed to get there or not of our own free will. You can kill me for saying that, but that is what I believe in. Nothing you say or do will ever change my mind.
Now, if we remove the Ori-specific terms here, we can distill Daniel Jackson's core judgment to this: no one has the right to force their beliefs onto others, and everyone should have the right to exercise their free will. That may sound quite simple, even obvious after all that build-up, but this judgment at the heart of Daniel's character influences his behaviour in richly specific ways, which the judgments of the other characters don't. The key is consistency.
Because for all I can do, I'm no more qualified to play God than the Goa'uld are.
Daniel's judgment puts him in opposition to the Goa'uld and the Ori, but it's also the reason why he's sympathetic to Reese when he discovers the origin of the replicators.
I'm just saying that maybe we should avoid slapping her in the face with the reality of her existence just moments after telling her planet was destroyed.
It's a machine.
She just found out her father is dead.
It's a machine.
He's right. It's not like it ever had a real father.
Maybe it's her creator. Or maybe we're talking to the stored consciousness of a real human being who once did have a real father. I think our past experience should be telling us to be careful about deciding what is and what isn't a life form.
He will stand up for what he believes in, even if that means coming into conflict with his friends.
You said yourself that we could not and would not devote the resources necessary to win a war.
Obviously, I was speaking in terms of committing military assets, human lives.
But there was a moral issue.
Yes.
But if we can provide the power of all that and more in the form of water, then the moral issue just evaporates. We're about to turn the tide of a world war that we know nothing about against an enemy that we know nothing about. Is that the right way to get their technology? Yes, but is it the right thing to do?
His core judgment is the reason he embraces diversity of culture and language. The value he places on free will drives him to see more of the universe, to see the different people of the universe. And that's another crucial element to Jackson's character, his agency. Considering Jackson is basically a glorified school teacher with no combat or survival training, it would be easy to turn him into a typical timid nerd, who the others have to protect. But Daniel is anything but timid. Daniel is often the one driving the plot, making new discoveries, and telling the team where they should go next. And despite his lack of combat and survival training, he never cowers or complains. He marches into the thick of battle side by side with his friends without batting an eye. If we consider the traditionally heroic traits of courage, nobility, and great deeds, Daniel Jackson fits the bill the best. He has no business doing what he's doing, and yet he's often the one running ahead of all the others. During the first Stargate mission, O'Neill and the Marines stepped through the gate with fear and trepidation. Daniel, however, stepped through smiling, absorbing the wonder of the moment. Ultimately, the reason I hold up Daniel Jackson as the hero of Stargate is because arguably without him there would be no Stargate. He didn't discover the gate, of course, but it's only thanks to his curiosity that the gate was activated in the first place. And even after the US military saw fit to mothball the gate, Jackson was on Abydos continuing to explore, and it's only thanks to him people even realized the gate could go other places.
Jack, I think that this is a map of a vast network of Stargates that are all over the galaxy.
Whereas others were ready to pack up and go home, Daniel Jackson was always looking to the horizon. Whereas others were willing to compromise on their ideals, Daniel Jackson always stood up for what he believed in. He began with the least authority, the weakest skill set, and the strongest allergies. But that never stopped him from exploring new worlds, standing up to tyrants, and improving as a person. And that is why Daniel Jackson is the real hero of Stargate. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay up to date with new uploads. To see videos early, jump over to my Patreon where you can see them uncut and ad-free. I'd like to thank all of my patrons and members with an ultra thanks to Eamon Kelly, Michael Hardy, Ian Hodge, County Ark, Mike Halsey, Retro PC Gamer, Benjamin Stokes, Hiroshi the Dog, Movie Magic, Charles Borsam, Olivia Computer, Bano, Extreme Streamers, Tom, Dusk, Colin Camille, Patrick Fleming, Matthew Camille, Ed Mark Starr, Dylan Thomas, Lilac Yane, Howard Craig Kervick, and Kajing G. Until next time, have a good one, guys.